Welcome back on Dynamo. Today I want to propose you one of a series of video that will be related to docking an undead fleet and making them based as project on a shipwreck as model. So now we can start with the first of such series of video, and this one it will be related to the frontal part of the shipwreck model, and it will be related to the monetizing this part of the model and the modifying of the rostrum, the figurehead on the rostrum of the model itself. So now we can start to begin the different passages that I chosen to do. The first thing that I suggest you to do is to remove the body that it consists in the rostrum and figurehead of such model. To do so, I suggest you to use a grit helper that you can see up here, that it's my really trusted zombie that bring me the driller, because I suggest you to use, pay attention, the driller to make the holes in the internal parts of the rostrum itself in the way to be able to cut it quite precisely. Use for doing such a thing the drill size about 2 mm or 1 mm large in the way that you don't ruin too much, so you can also save such rostrum to use for other things. So it's a suggestion that I think can be quite useful for you. You can, and I want to remember you that this you can use for doing other models, so it can be really quite useful. So don't throw away and take it apart, because it can be really quite useful for other modifying. I'll use it in such way. So you have to pay attention to such detailing, and once you remove it from the both parts, you can be sure. I suggest you to do such removing without gluing the two parts of the boat itself of the shipwreck. I suggest you to do it in such way because it's better. It's giving you less problems in then justifying when you put them together, the parts, and refilling the part itself. And I think that it can give you more maneuverability in the way that you can cut and move the ship in the way that you can do it with precision on it. And then we can have a bit of fun, and it's the drilling of the different parts that you can see on the ship. You can drill, for example, these parts that you can see the holes on, that are where you can put then the magnets to use as a way to keep the models. What I mean? I mean that you put, for example, pirates and so on in such a way you can use such drill to put the magnets inside there, eventually cover them with a bit of green stuff, liquid green stuff or green stuff in the way to cover them, but anyway have in such way the possibility to positioning, securing models on that part. Obviously that had to be monetized, but why do so? Because in such way you can change the models. For example, you can move from a skeleton to a zombie to something else, even use, for example, this as a way to create other models, because this project it's a way to involve a different way to use such models, because this it's also a way, for example, to personalize and use such parts to use them for realizing a coven throne or other things. So it's really quite useful in such a way. And other monetizing that we'll see soon, it will be done in such keeping this as an idea. So use such ideas to put on, because it's better to do such a thing before that you glue the whole ship. Otherwise, you'd have some problems in doing such drilling and precision in doing it. So I suggest you to do such drills in such positions in the way that you can then put the models on. So you put the magnets inside. Remember the versus of the magnets that had to be the same. And doing such a thing, you create in the way that you have the models on the borders of the ship themselves. So you have both sides that you can use for realizing such a thing. Then we have the ship tree that we can talk about. About such type of monetizing, it's done in the way that the ship tree otherwise it's quite high, so it risks to not be so stable, and moreover it risks to have another consequence, that it risks to tilt or break when you try to put away the ship itself. So for doing such one, you can see the position of such monetizing, and I suggest you to use as magnet for such ship tree magnets that are 3 or 4 millimeter one as diameter and 2 or 3 millimeter as deep for the ship tree, and you need only a 3 for 2 or 4 for 2 millimeter one for the base to put in the way that it's quite stable, because being high this ship tree it risks to tilt and not be so stable. So in this way you'll be able to stabilize it and have it more firm on the ship itself. So it's quite interesting and quite useful to use in such a way. Then we have the part about the deck of the ship itself. And about this, I suggest you to calculate quite accurately where to put the magnets that you put on. These are magnets that are used to keep the sailor themselves that you choose to put on such ship, but also as another usage, that if you want to modify to use, for example, for a convent room or other things, you can use such way to keep them, and in the way that you put, for example, an altar or something else in particular position to have more stable, because you have more points to use as keeping and not moving the different parts. So it can be really quite interesting in that way. So you have to choose quite accurately about this. Moreover, I want to remember you that it's better if you do it in drilling from the rear part, and that they use the up part as the final one. Why do so? Because you have more accurately idea on where to make the drilling. In such way you have more precision, because otherwise you risk not to be so accurate in the drilling itself. And so you have to calculate for doing such a thing. Moreover, if you want them, you can cover the part that it's upper with a bit again of liquid green stuff or other things, and then make some little lines, for example with a bit of a screwdriver or so on, in the way that you can reproduce the design of the wood itself, if you are not interested in keeping these parts that are so evident on. So it can be really quite interesting in that way. And so now we can monetize the base of the ship itself. This is useful to amplify the crew that you can put on such a ship, in the way that you can have more volume inside and more models to put inside to represent a ship. But I suggest you, this is up here only an example of monetizing, to do such a thing in the way that you can have a speculating imaginary on one side and you have the same on the other side, because in such way you can use such type of usage to put other accessories, other things on here. So if you want to use, as I said, for the usage of the coven front and so on, or other options, you are preparing the base, literally in this case, to use such other options that you want to use. So you have a better usage of the different positioning of the magnets. So I suggest you to use. You can use as magnets as you want on here, but I suggest you anyway to use as a referring anyway the way that you have a speculative one. So you have a mirroring. You have one side and the other side that are symmetrical ones. So I suggest you to do such a way to have a sort of preparatory way to have all other options that you can decide to put later on here. And then I realized the rostrum and the figurehead to put on the ship itself. I used as a referring to do such an option the one that I realized about the Chalicotherium. So if you want to understand it, you can go to see you can find the video in the description, the video about the Wight King on Chalicotherium, and you can find how I realized it. This is a similar process, and I take inspiration to realize such figurehead for this rostrum because I realized previously that one. So it's based on it. So first I verified if the dimension of such figurehead were suited to put inside here, because otherwise I'd have a problem about the size on it for doing such a thing. So I realized it, and then I created a variation compared to the Chalicotherium one. So I realized the positioning of the hands and the shoulder itself of such model, so that I had a reference about it. And I really liked such decision. I used a good way to position it in the way that has more anchorage as points to glue on the ship itself, and it seems like it's both protecting and I'd say as possessing the ship itself. So I think that it's a good choice for my opinion to use in such way. Anyway, it's my decision to do it, and I decided to do such way cause it. And I think that you can use whichever part you want. Do also other modification later, but simply this is a way to have this project realized, to have my imagination about such ship in the way that to have a better way to analyze it. It's my way to think about a figurehead to position it. So you have your option to choose. Everything that you can choose, it's okay. So what to say about such model? I think that it's really amazing, but obviously otherwise I do not have proposed you, but it's a way to make you understand that you can personalize as you want such model, as a lot of different options that you can use about. I want to use such one to create different options, Coven Throne, a different way to have shinic elements. I simply want to have fun and have them in this way to have a sort of undead fleet, and this is the base of my idea about. So there are a lot of options that you can use, and my idea about such videos is the idea to make you understand how much you can convert your own models, even such models that usually are only decorative, to have bigger modifying. Even only change some little parts about it, you can realize really quite amazing modification and personalizing of your own armies. So from Dino Mode it's everything. I invite you to put a like on this video, to subscribe to the channel, to ring the bell, and to comment this video if you are interested in something about this video or you want to suggest me some arguments for other videos. I hope to see you again to the next time.